Hi everyone, this is Ray from Swirlydoos Kit Club, and today I'm going to be sharing with you my project kit that I've made using the February 2016 kit Ballad. This is from the project kit, and I've used several things from the main kit, including the flowers and the paper and stuff like that. So I'm going to get started so I can show you how I did this. My first step is just covering this with white paint. I'm just doing a dry brush. I don't really need it to be complete, but I'm going to do the front and the back and also the bottom part. And once the paint is dry, I am going to use a stamp. This is a big stamp. It's one of those new ones from Prima. So I just used one of my embossing folders so that I could put that on the back. And I'm just going to cover the entire thing. Okay, so I do the same thing to the bottom part. I'm going to be covering this with paper and ripping it up a little bit, and so the stamping will show through. So I traced the love on a piece of paper and I've cut it out, and I'm going to be doing the same thing with a piece of black paper. And right now all I'm doing is setting my embellishments where I think they're going to go, because I'm going to use some distressing on the paper and I need to decide where I want that distressing to go in regards to all of these embellishments. So this is just kind of my base idea of what I want to see here, and then I can start penciling off where I want to rip the paper so that you can see that stamping showing through. So I'm just going to take a pair of scissors and I'm going to cut out all of the parts that I penciled so that I can rip that paper up so you can see the stamping. And I'm going to take a paper distresser and I'm just going to kind of cut and distress as I go, knowing that I can always do more later, but this will give me a good base. On this white paper, I've decided to add some chalk ink. I have the Attic Dust and this purple Versa Magic. It just seemed like the white was a little bright for me, so I decided to kind of put some purple on there in some of the areas and also some of that gray, just to kind of tone it down. It looked a little too stark to me. So I'm going to do that on the entire thing, but first, one of the things that I noticed was that this paper is too long on the bottom for the V and the E, so I need to cut it. You can see when it goes into the base that it's going to be too long, so I'm just going to measure with the pencil right there. I already marked that out, and cut those letters down, otherwise they won't fit into the base. So I went ahead and I inked this, and I've cut the pieces and I'm ready to glue it down. I've been careful not to put a lot of glue right at the edge so that I can still pick up those pieces to make those little parts that I've cut a little more distressed if I want to, but I want to make sure that it stays on there. So you need to use a brayer of some kind. This is the basic gray rub-on tool. I like to use that for these sorts of things. Okay, I've already added the paper to my base, and now it's time to add the love into the base right there. I'm using zip dry, and I'm going to let this dry overnight. That way it stays very sturdy and I can finish the project. And now it's time for the best part, to decorate. I'm just using some white gesso just to give it a whitewash. I like using a fan brush for this because it covers a wide amount of space and there's not a lot of bristles. And so if I get big brush strokes, I can just go ahead and take a little bit of water and smear it on there, and it's really mistake proof. I treated all of the chipboard off camera. I did this with the Cherub. I just painted it white and used some of that gray chalk ink. And then for the next one, I used some Frantage embossing powder in shabby pink. And then for the vine, I used Art Anthology in basil that came in the mediums add-on, and all I did was paint that. And the last thing was those little tiny hearts, and I just used Frantage and aged gold. So I'm going to add my picture, and that's just from a Prima ephemera pack, I think that came out last year. I'm going to add that, and I'm going to use my frame for a guide so that I don't cover up the little man and woman there. And now I'm going to add my frame, and I'm just using glossy accents on my chipboard here, and I'm just kind of going back and forth. I'm trying to see which of these parts of the chipboard need any glue and which ones don't, because I don't want to add if I don't need it. Now I'm moving on to the next part. I'm actually using some black lace from my stash. We actually got this in a past kit also. I've cut that piece up so that I can see both the bottom and the top, and then I'm going to add the rosette trim that we got in the kit. So I'm using score tape for all of this because I think it works really well. I just want to make sure that I get it on there nice and straight and really burnish it on there, just going back and forth with my fingers there, and then trim off the excess. Next, I'm adding some rosary chain that we got in a past kit, although I think I got this from someplace else, but we did get some in a past kit, and I just want to scallop this, and I'm really relying on that score tape that I put on there to just stick it up in there, and then it's going to stay. Next, I'm adding this Prima resin to one of the hearts on the embossed chipboard there, and I colored this with the purple chalk ink. Next, I'm adding the cherub using some glossy accents, and I just want to be careful where I'm putting the glossy accents because it's going to be sticking off of that V a little bit, so I want to make sure that I'm not adding any glue if I don't need to. And for this floral cluster, I just added the vine that I colored with the Art Anthology basil paint, and I'm just adding some flowers from the main kit and some flowers from this project kit that I used the gray and purple chalk inks on just to color them up a little bit, and I used that Art Anthology on the leaves also. I add a couple more things to the flower clusters. I have the small daisies from the flower add-on that I'm just kind of adding in there, just where I see like there's some little holes, good little filler flowers there. And I just want to make sure I'm using zip dry with those so that I can move them around a little bit. And I'm going to add the gold hearts there in the flower cluster too. So I wanted to add another little flower cluster down here by the E. I actually added that resin, that heart resin by the E, and then I'm just adding some flowers from the main kit, and those leaves again are from this project kit that I used the Art Anthology basil paint on, and some of the little small daisies from the flower add-on kit. And you can see I can just kind of go back and forth just deciding what looks right to me. It's kind of a weird camera angle. I can't really sit in front of the project when I'm videotaping, so sometimes I go back and change things afterwards. That's why I like zip dry glue, because you can change stuff. There's a little bit of a dry time there that you can move stuff around. Next, I'm adding the Say It in Crystals piece that we got in this kit. I've just cut it up just to fit with the little flower clusters, just to kind of bring out some little swirls in there. I like the way that the pink adds to the purple. And I'm just going to be adding those pieces to the other flower cluster, and I'm going to be doing some of this part offline because my camera died. Okay, so also off camera, I added some of those daisies up there next to that frame that I'm working on right there. It was next to the resin heart, and we got one of these keys in the main kit in the ephemera pack that I'm just adding with some wire thread here, just so it hangs down. I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to go to swirlydoos.com and check out our forums. And we also have an online store. And we're also on Facebook, so find us there and like us. We also have a Facebook gallery. And check out our other YouTube tutorials. And we also have tutorials on Snap Guide if you're interested in some photo tutorials. So thank you for watching. If you want to become a subscriber and you haven't yet, mention my name, Ray from swirlydoos.com, and you can get 10% off of your first kit and 30% off of one of your store purchases. Thanks for watching.